like to first start with thanking our sponsors for making this possible. Our host sponsor is BIBD. Our platinum sponsor is Progressive. Gold sponsor is CIC Environmental Services. And we have silver sponsor who is here today with us, the BLNG. So welcome, guys. Let me start by giving a brief introduction about whom our speakers are. Today, we're very lucky. We have two for the price of one. we have the finance manager of BLNG. Her name is Pengiran Mas. And Pengiran Mas has 16 years of experience in the oil and gas industry. And she's worked for BSP. She's worked in Qatar Shell GTL and currently works for BLNG. So how long have you spent yourself in Qatar, Pengiran Mas?
Hi, Shaun. That was 4 years in Qatar.
4 years in Qatar.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, we'll talk more about that later. So Pengiran Mas is a chartered accountant, and she's a graduate from the University of Sheffield in the UK with Bachelor BA Honours in Accounting and Management. How long were you in the UK for, Pengiran Mas?
So I was there for 2 years, Shaun, because it was like a combined university. So I was in the UBD, University of Brunei, for 2 years initially. And then I went to Sheffield for another 2 years. So that is for my second and my final years. So it's a twinning program.
How long ago was it?
Oh, I graduated in 2003.
Okay.
So yeah.
It's been a while. 17 years.
Yeah. Yes. Wow. Coming to 17 years.
Your background is in finance. You have accounting qualification. So I'd like to start off with two very simple questions. Why did you choose finance, accounting, and how did you end up with the oil and gas industry? Over to you, Pengiran Mas.
Okay, thank you, Shaun. I try to keep my answer simple and easy to understand as well. Right. So why finance? So when I was still a student, I always liked maths. And thankfully, I think I'm also gifted that I'm good in maths. So that's why I like calculation. And at that point of time, I know finance or accountant, require or do a lot of calculation. So it's as simple as that, because I like maths and I like calculation. And also to share, actually my late father was also in the same profession, but he was with the army, but also in the finance section. So again, that is another motivation for me why I ended up in finance. So the second question is, why oil and gas industry?
That's
is
right.
It, Shaun?
Because if I was to study finance, I would expect to work in the banks or private sectors. Have you always been when you were studying finance, did you have the oil and gas industry in mind as your career choice?
Yeah, thank you, Shaun. So again, when as a student at the time, I have three places where I have in mind, right? So one is the Ministry of Finance. Second, if I don't go to Ministry of Finance, then it's the banks, like you mentioned. Yes. And thirdly is at the time I wasn't thinking about BLNG, so I have Brunei Shell BSP in mind actually. So at the end, I chose BSP because Shell is a global company. And it was one of my aspirations to be able to work outside Brunei, because I know Shell has many companies around the globe. So I can actually, go to BSP and get an opportunity for an international assignment. Hence, the first preference to join the Brunei Shell Petroleum at the time.
And we have record number right now. Right now we have over 80 people who is in our Zoom meeting room. We are expecting over 150 people. Why is it everyone wants to work for the oil and gas industry in Brunei? Is it because it pays well? What's the deal with it?
Um, so that's good actually. I'm very happy that we have a high
Yes.
number of participants.
Mhm.
So this is not a myth or truth, right? So I can say it is a truth, actually. So because you can find, I'm sure a survey has been done, where a benchmarking has been, what is it, compared, within Brunei itself, in terms of the employee or the payment package or remuneration package across Brunei. And it is true that BSJV, actually one of the company that pays or provide a very attractive remuneration package. Um, but that goes beyond that, right? So it's not only that, but then we probably can touch later in terms
Mhm.
of the development opportunity, whether it's
Mhm.
personal development or career development, that the BSJV can actually offer. So for me, that is again another attraction
I think we'll go
for
into
yeah.
details on that later on,
Mm,
but it will be a very interesting conversation. Mas,
mm,
with my very simplistic understanding of the oil and gas industry, to me, it's divided into two sectors, the operation and the administrative side. So the operation side does the work, the administrative side, record the work and make sure that everyone is in their right position. And in the midst of it all, one of the most important function is the finance department, because no money, no talk. Nothing runs without money. Um, when I deal with numbers, and I hate numbers. Yeah, and I'm only dealing with less than five figures number, and I'm all sweating. and the kind of numbers that you all are dealing with, I can only imagine in the oil and gas industry would be in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, on a daily basis. How do you sleep at night?
oh. What's the issue with that? We are making a lot of money. That's good, isn't it?
But it must be a huge weight on your shoulder.
So indeed, everyone in the company has their own responsibility and accountability.
Mhm.
So maybe I can introduce a bit what I'm doing in
Yes,
BLNG,
please.
right?
Mhm.
So similar to engineer, there are many types of engineer. Even in finance, finance is also have different scale, right? So it could be finance in the business. This is the finance who are actually supporting, Ryman, engineering, the maintenance team.
Hi.
But you also have finance people who only focus on accounting and reporting, preparing financial statements, calculating tax calculation. And there are also finance people who is doing planning and information reporting.
Mhm.
So, in my capacity as the Brunei LNG finance manager, I am actually looking after and being accountable for this end to end. I call it full range of finance activities. So, those wide range of finance activities, I'm accountable for.
Mhm.
So indeed, like you mentioned, our management information has to be reliable and accurate. That also include like our tax calculation, our dividend calculation. So how do we then make sure, it's all reliable and correct? So like in other places, we have controls in place, Sean. So it
Mhm.
can be system control,
Right.
it can also be, making sure, all the staff that we employ are competent to do the job.
Mhm.
Um, and then we also have like a standard operating procedure
What
or
time
work
finish?
work
Sorry.
instruction. So this is actually a guide, especially for new joiner. If I want to calculate tax, this is the work instruction. So that is one of the ways to help new joiner as well to be able to follow through what are the two steps action to be taken.
So how big is your team, Mas?
Okay, so again, as the BLNG FM, under myself, I have the finance team,
Mhm.
but also recently the contract and procurement function also report to myself.
Right.
So finance, okay, roughly maybe around 20, Shaun. It's not a big team. And for contract and procurement, that is about 40 people.
That's a lot of people. And BLNG, I understand you all have over 600 people working for you.
Yeah.
So in terms of ratio, this is small. When you think about it, 20 versus 600, isn't it?
Yes, so indeed, if I add finance and CP, that's about 60. So there's about 10% of the 600 is under my accountability.